Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try not to lean over too much because my mother-in-law tells me when I lean over, I cover the mic and they can't hear me. Do you have the problem, same problem I do about trying to keep from getting your mother-in-law wet? Keep from getting her wet. Yeah, because if I get her wet, she goes, I'm melting, I'm melting. No, I love her. I love her dearly. Let's get started with our prayer request list. We got Wanda and Ronnie Payne, Betty Walker, Carol Epperson, Daniel Smith, Louise Atkins, Pauline Johnson, Ruben Vasquez. We need to pray hard for that young man. Joe Nelson, Maybelle Nelson, Curtis Nelson, Philomeno Benella, Wendy, Jerry and Bonnie Shropshire, Ted Chaplin, Lee Atkins, Mike Atkins, Dale Drew has been deployed, Ronnie and Christy Davis, Coey Pepinos, Justin Pepinos, Thurman Potts and wife, Pauline Webster, Ricky Allen, Peggy Ordner, Mike Donathan, Eric Norman, Sandra Walker, Jamie Davis, Daniel, all the churches. We need to be pouring our prayers out for all these churches that those that have lost their first love will return back to it. And we still need to pray for our church. We're seeking a pastor. Patsy Quisenberry, Esther Haynes, Anna Blevins, Mike Gravely, Dina, Jesse Dawson, Larry Norman, Mike Walker, Zach Chrisman, Dana Childress, Billy, Avonlea Mitten, Mary Williamson, Barbara Hutchins, and Shania Atkins. Any other outspoken requests? I want you to pray for my family, the lost in it. My daughter, both of my daughters, my son, they've made a confession, but the only one I can be sure of is myself. My wife has made a confession, but the only one I can be sure of is myself. But I do know there is some in the extended family that they don't have it. They're actually running from it. Don't want nothing to do with it. Those are the ones I need prayer for. Any other outspoken? I think I just covered them. I think I just covered them. Any others? I see we don't have Ronnie, Wanda, and Bet with us. Bet's probably having a rough time of it, so just continue praying for her. Anybody uplifted hand? All those that can will just gather around the altar. all but finished up in chapter 3 of Genesis last time I was up here, so we're going to pick up chapter 4. But before I do, I want to read something. We'll get to it in a minute. Some people say that chapter 4 starts off with the first sin in the Bible. No. The first sin in the Bible was disobedience. When Adam and Eve disobeyed God. When they took of that fruit of that tree. That was the first sin. The 10 Commandments, one of them covers thou shalt not kill. Those didn't come along till Exodus, I believe. So was Cain guilty of a sin when he killed his brother? Guilty of the first murder. Guilty of disobedience. Guilty of jealousy. He was guilty of all of it because when Adam and Eve took of that apple, or excuse me, didn't say apples, took of that fruit. That's human nature. We always associate the fruit of that tree as an apple. So forgive me if I say apple, but it was just a fruit of that tree. Yep. Yep. But when they took of that fruit of that tree, and they got the knowledge of good and evil, Adam and Eve weren't the only ones to gain the knowledge of good and evil. Once they opened the door up for it, it went for everybody. So yes, Cain was guilty of a sin right there. Guilty of murder, guilty of jealousy, and we'll get in here in just a second and we'll see how it all came up to the point of him killing his brother. Their disobedience was first sin. See, that's what I say. Some people out there want to say verse 4, or chapter 4 talks about the first sin. First sin was disobedience. And a lot of us today are still guilty of the first sin, disobedience. I'm guilty of it. Yes. Chapter 3, verse 5. For in this is after the serpent has told the woman, "Ye shall not surely die." It says, "For God doth know that in that day ye eat thereof, that your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil." What's the difference between us knowing good and evil and God knowing good and evil? God don't look on it. God doesn't dwell on it. God doesn't want it. We look at these evil things in this world, and this pen right here could be an evil thing. I put it before God. It's evil. But I'm concentrating more on this pen than I am His Word. This has become my God. Yep. Yeah, that was in chapter 3. It says, "And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die." Yep. Well, see, the woman, she opened herself up to it when she started adding to what God said. And if you want to get right down to it, she wasn't there when God told Adam about what not to do and what to do. So Adam told her. I can whisper something in Geraldine's ear. She could whisper the same thing into Mandy's ear. Mandy could whisper it to you. Larry could whisper it to Nathan. Nathan could whisper it to his wife. His wife can whisper it to her mother. By the time she comes back to me, there's something missing or there's something added to it. What Eve done was she said, "Neither shall we touch it." God didn't say that. So she opened the door up to the serpent right there when she added to what God said. But the main focus on verse 5 is that Satan told her that they would be just like God, knowing good and evil. But you see it today. We want to focus on the evil in this world. I mean, we got people that looks at the good in this world, but they're in their flesh too. They're going to see certain things, and they're going to, most part, desire it somewhat. The difference between us and God, God chooses not to look on evil. If God looked at us, we would die. The only way that God can see any one of us right now is if we have the blood of Jesus on us. The blood of Jesus is a filter between us and God. If God looked at us and we didn't have Jesus on us, we'd burn up instantly. Lowercase g. That's right. Well, let's roll into chapter 4 here. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, passed, that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. I'm going to read that again so you pay attention. In pass of time, no, I misquoted it. Let me read it correctly. Verse 3, and in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Now listen to verse 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Now my question, why did he not receive Cain's offering? Why did he not have respect to Cain's offering? Anybody answer that? Right. God instituted the first sacrifice. Yeah. And God instituted the first blood sacrifice for sin covered when he covered their nakedness. The But what I want to bring out here about Cain says he brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Did he just reach in his pot and scoop up a little bit of the field that he had already picked? Or did he go out to the field and he picked the first fruits of it to give to the Lord? He did not. He took of the fruit of the ground an offering. But Abel took of the firstlings, the first fruits of his flock. I believe if Cain had took of the first fruits of the field, God would have received it. But yes, I do believe God instituted a blood offering to cover atonement for sin when he sacrificed two animals to cover the sins of Adam and Eve. But as far as Scripture goes, we don't have nothing telling us right here that blood sacrifice had to be done. Yes. I mean, it says he gives the best. He gives let me find it right there. And of the fat thereof. The best of it. I mean, when we go pick out a steak, do we look for a steak that's got nothing but lean red meat in it? Or do we pick out a steak that has a little bit of fat around the edges? Gives it good flavor. The first of it, the best of it. But at the same time, I do believe this offering had to do with a sin offering. Because that was the first offering ever made, was it not? I mean, you go on in through the Bible, they talk about making peace offerings and Passover offerings and sin offerings. But the very first offering we see in chapter 3 is a sin offering. That's the only offering they've known. Yeah. Yeah. All right, verse 5. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. Now, let me back up and read 4 again. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and unto his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. But Cain, like you said, I believe he should have went to his brother and bartered for an offering. Yeah. Yeah. And that's like I said, that was the only offering they really knew from Adam and Eve till this point. That was the only offering they knew to do. And like I said earlier, God instituted it with blood sacrifice. All right, verse 8, And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? See, when we're guilty of something, we're not going to come right out and admit it. You watch these cop shows. Cops are trying to get them to confess what they're doing. They beat all around the bush to keep from saying exactly what they need to say. I'm guilty. I did this. Yes, it does. That sounds very better. Every time I read about the offering that Cain and Abel made, I go back to a movie I seen. I was probably 12, 15, 16, 17 years old. I mean, it's been a long time ago. But it shows Abel making his offering and the smoke going up. Then it shows Cain making his offering and the smoke going in his face. Shows Cain getting over here, trying to make his offering, and smoke going in his face. God didn't receive it. That's basically what the movie was trying to tell you right there. But his countenance fell. Basically what you just said, he got bitterness in his heart. He resented his brother because his brother done the right thing. How many times do we see that out in the world today? I'm not going to bring politics up, so I'm not even going to go in that direction right now. But we see people out in the world that does good, and then somebody else puts him down for it. Tries to make what he done good look like it was wrongdoing. verse 10, and he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Where is life at? In the blood. So God already knew what Cain done because Cain's blood was crying out to him. And now, in verse 11, and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. Where did everyone come from? What about all these other people he's referring to when he says that, and when someone else finds me, they shall slay me? Where did these people come from? Yes. Yeah. And one verse that jumps out to me is back in chapter 1, verse 28. And God, this is God speaking, and God blessed them, and this is right after creating Adam and Eve. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. If you want to dig down into the stories of this creation, it doesn't tell you about everyone that was born. It just tells you the key components, the storyline of it, the key people. It starts off with the first sin, Adam and Eve. Goes into the second sin, Cain, killing his brother. The third sin, Cain denying it. The fourth sin, Well, actually, I need to back up. The second sin would have been the jealousy in Cain's heart. If you holding jealousy against somebody in your heart, you are sinning. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Jealousy is a sin. So Adam and Eve committed the first, and Cain committed the second when his countenance fell, and he got jealousy in his heart against his brother. Third sin killed him. Fourth sin, denying it. So, where did I leave off at? All right, verse 15. God said, "And the Lord said unto him, Therefore whoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him." What was the mark? Could have changed his skin color very much. What was the mark that God put on Cain? I don't either. He could have changed his skin color. He could have. Yeah. All right, verse 16. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mehujael, and Mehujael begot Methuselah, and Methuselah begot Lamech, and Lamech took unto him two wives. That's for another subject later on. And Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. And Ada bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwelt in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handled the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man in my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. Who did Lamech kill? The Bible doesn't tell us about him killing anyone. I believe this is just another example of this man Lamech trying to lift himself up. People today are doing it now. We got a preacher out there in California that's preaching prosperity, putting himself up on a podium. Never once tells them about the love of Jesus Christ. Verse 25, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God said, she hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. What does it mean right there when God said, she hath appointed me another seed? Replacement. You see, God knew what was going to happen when he created man. He knew man was going to fall. So God made a way. Not through sacrifice, but through his own seed. If you trace back Jesus' lineage, you could trace him all the way back to Seth. The name Seth. Let me go back over here and read this. The name Seth means appointed. She hath appointed me another seed. So God, even though he knew what we was going to do, he still loved us. Just like when we talk about Jesus hanging on the cross, we talk about how he looked down through the future and he saw me. He said, I'll still hang here for him. When Jesus looked down through the future and he saw you, I'm still going to hang here for him. God made a way for us to get back to him. And that right there is the way he made it with Seth. Abel was his first seed. Seth was his second. People are starting to roll in, so I'm going to close it right there unless somebody has something to add to that. Okay. I don't know. That's what Brother Nathan was bringing up when he created them dogs, them Gentiles. you gonna close us out?